This is Ray.
And I'm Jenny.
And we are Weber Family Reviews. Though it has been pointed out that this is very similar to, apparently, Fun with Flags, based on The Big Bang Theory. We didn't do that on purpose, but apparently we are that boring. So, but we're continuing our top 100 with 70 through 61 today. And I think you started last time, so I'm going to start.
Okay, you start.
So my number 70 is Reef. It's a very tactile game. There's lots of chunky pieces. And what you're trying to do is build up your reef, building on top of other tokens that you have. They're thick, plastic, chunky with nubs on the top so that you can build up. And there's 4 colors: purple, yellow, orange, and green. And you then are trying to score cards that have that set of organization. So the pattern you've created. And those cards, instead of scoring them, you can spend them to get more tokens. So it's a good one. I'm trying to remember. Do you have to spend them? You get rid of the card.
You get rid of the card.
And then you score.
Yeah, and then you score.
So you get the stuff and then you score. I screwed up already, so there's that. So
well, this was my 84, and it is. It's a very visual game. You're looking down, and it only matters what you see from the top, not what's under it. So it's really, you really have to think about how you're changing stuff as you're putting stuff on. Now, my 70 is one of my classic favorites, and that's Ticket to Ride. And I really enjoy Ticket to Ride. I actually rated all the Ticket to Rides in order. I like them a lot. I would say that the basic Ticket to Ride has definitely fallen a little bit, just simply because we play so many different games, but I still really enjoy it. Our kids like playing it. It's great because pretty much anyone can play with it. And I play this on the app almost constantly. But you're just building routes. If you're not sure about games, it's a great gateway game. And a lot of the maps really add a lot of complexity. The new map, Japan.
Japan.
Japan is really cool. It's very different. It's still Ticket to Ride. You don't feel like you had to learn a lot new, but it really is a much more strategic game. And if you want a more gamery version of Ticket to Ride, Japan is definitely that. But even Ticket to Ride Europe, which is what I'm holding here, and we didn't pull out a Ticket to Ride USA because the box is literally falling apart, adds a little bit in that you have the depots, which really, if you remember to use them, can be really powerful. So, and the completionist in me likes to always finish my routes.
Yep.
So.
I like Ticket to Ride. It's a solid game and it's fun.
And it was your 89.
It was. This is a heavy worker placement game. There's a lot of converting, creating, buying buildings. You've got to move people around, and your actual worker meeples are different. You've got your laborers, and then you have your scientists, and you have your engineers. One of the things about this one is you are building bombs, but you're not actually dropping the bombs. You will
can test them, but yeah, you're not really.
So, I mean, that does make it a bit more palatable. This one definitely is fun and different than most worker placements, and there's a lot going on. This one's a heavier game.
It is, and this is one of mine. I think he rates it way too low here. I really enjoy that game. But I like all the worker placements, and that's a really fun one. Now, my 69 is Thebes, and I really enjoy this because you're going to go out and you're trying to find artifacts. And there's definitely a lot of luck in this game because when you go someplace, you're grabbing things out of a bag and you can get nothing. I mean, kind of like real archaeology. Sometimes you're digging in the wrong spot. And then you have to take your artifacts you've collected and you're trying to show them at museums. This has a really unique, Ray really enjoys that it has the timer where you can kind of go as far as you want, but then you're giving your, but then you're using up time. And so there's this interesting time aspect that you really have to pay attention to in this game, which adds a really important layer of strategy to this. And I think it kind of negate some of the luck that is. It can be really frustrating to go somewhere and you're like, okay, I just pulled out 5, I should get something, and you get like nothing. Or you pull 1 and you get there's some artifacts that are worth a lot more points than others, and you pull the one big one. So there is a fair bit of luck. So if you're not someone who likes a lot of luck in your game, you're not going to enjoy this game. But if you don't mind some luck, there is a lot of strategy with it that can be used with the luck. So.
I like that. Just a heads up, you're going to hide yourself.
Well, that's okay. They don't want to see me anyways.
Cottage Garden is my number 68. Now, we're trying to rush through. Our 20 through 1, we're going to have to break up a lot more. We had some friends involved. It was good. But Cottage Garden is one of the most table hoggish just polyomino games that I've dealt with in a long time.
Oh, I think there's some worse ones, but this one definitely, you've got all your pieces that are coming spread out so you can see them. And so it takes up a fair bit of table space.
But that aside, you're building gardens, putting pots in there, and then moving cats around to fill in gaps or do things with them. The scoring works really simply. You move your point value for yellow up with the yellow pots for the koshas. You move the blue one, which is 2 points apiece, and you get benefits or bonuses for moving all of one color off. You move them forward, and the most points win. The scoring's easy. You're putting tiles down to complete these different garden tiles by filling them up with plants and or pots, and you move on. It's simple, but it's really, for a tile laying game, very fulfilling. So, Cottage Garden.
It's also very pretty, and I enjoy that, and I enjoy that you get to finish it. And you have to finish yours, but at the end, you definitely need to be paying attention to the end, because the end comes, you hit that final round, and you're like, oh, I have to get rid of, if I don't have so many pieces, you just lose that garden, and you have to finish, and you lose points for every round it takes you past that last person going out. So you do that timer. So you definitely do need to be thinking as that final round ends, you have to be planning how you're setting up your garden. And it might, change what you put down. So, and what you cover up, because there's already stuff on each garden, and you can choose to cover them or not, which could lose points, but it might be worth it to finish it. So, I really like it. You'll probably be seeing it later for me.
I always mess that end up. So.
Yeah, so. Now, my 68 is Kingsburg, which is a dice placement game. And, it's really, because you've really got all these workers, but you're rolling dice, and you can combine the dice. So you've got several dice, and you can use them one at a time and go to the lower numbers, or you combine them and go to one of the higher numbers. So there's a lot of choices. Usually with each dice roll, you have several options of what you're doing, which ones you can go on. And then end of each round, you're going to probably have to fight a monster. And so you really have to be planning ahead for what you're doing, and there's ways that you can look at them. There's lots of different pieces to this one. It's really fun. It's a cool looking big board. You've got lots of choices, and it seldom feels like there's no good choice. Yep. Sometimes it just feels like there's too many choices.
This one happens to be I'll just keep talking about it because it's my 67. This one's really fun. We've got the old edition. They have a new edition that already has the expansion. And I can't remember what the expansion is called. We've had it so long that we've used it. You do want the expansion if you want to add some variety, but you're also building. There's a tableau building aspect where you're building or making buildings on your player sheet that give you certain abilities. So I like Kingsburg. All the things Jen just said. It's good. It's fun. It's dice chucking, but you can mitigate it or combine dice or find spots. You can almost always do something, unless you have a mean spouse that blocks all your stuff on purpose. I mean, I wouldn't be pointing.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly can. We seldom play vicious because we play most things two-player, but certainly, if you both roll pretty much the same thing, it can really kind of screw over the second person to place. And it's just sometimes bad luck in that you both, roll the same combination of dice.
It can definitely shorten you up.
Yes.
And that's just luck.
And I think you'd see more of that in a larger game. We seldom play anything but two-player, so we don't see as much of it. Now, my 67 is a co-op. This is Hotshots, and this is a cooperative wildfire fighting game. And certainly for us in Alaska, during fire season, this seems very appropriate. What's cool is there's a bunch of different options that when you set up your game, you can literally do different parks. So you can be like, I'm going to save Denali. And so that's kind of cool. In its fact, the wind very much plays a role in this and how it does. And it really took us a while to figure out how you win. And there's definitely a strategy to how you win. We lost a lot until we kind of figured out what the thing was. But it's a lot of fun. And if you like co-ops, this is a fun, slightly different theme than a lot of the ones you might have seen.
This one's definitely lower on my list. It's very luck based when it comes to your dice provide your actions, but it's incredibly fun. I don't want to count it down. It's really a lot of fun, and the wind really gives you the feel that things are shifting based on the weather, which is good. I guarantee you this one won't be on my wife's.
No.
Now,
I only played under duress.
I have played. Oh, well then we're gonna have to more duress. I have played regular Gloomhaven. I do not own regular Gloomhaven, but I have played it. I have Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, and it's just much more streamlined when it comes to setup and play. The game itself is good. I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to the artwork for fantasy races. I like the traditional fantasy, I know. Elves, dwarves, humans, blah, blah. So that one's a little bit different, but the game itself is so amazing that the art doesn't really bother me. And the pathway and the story is immersive and good. At the same time, the mechanisms have a Euro feel, and it's just a really fun, thinky game, and it's a campaign, so that it doesn't get to the table as often as it should. But Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, number 66.
And I agree, it's a good game. It's not my theme, not my type. So this is what it comes down to. My 66 is worker placement because I like worker placements, and that's Carson City. And I was going to move that here in a minute. I was getting there. Carson City, and this is kind of like the Old West theme, and just a lot of fun. And you can have gunfights and stuff. Now, playing 2-player, it doesn't happen as much, but I think certainly in a larger game, you would see a lot more of that. And so it's a fun, great worker placement. It's got a good theme. You really feel that theme in the different pieces of it. And there's some really cool buildings you build. And again, it all pulls in that theme. And we were lucky enough that we do have the expansion, which was pretty hard to find. Yeah. So
the 10-year anniversary came out, and that one's got all of the stuff. If you're looking for Carson City, it's a great worker placement and tile laying game. So don't forget the tile laying. That's important.
Yeah, because you build in your little city, and so it's pretty cool.
Now, this is a weird one, because I did not expect this one to be up there, and I'll put this up there. Number 65 for me is Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game. And it's not like any of the other love letters. You are either the heroes or you're Thanos. And you actually are going back and forth, essentially attacking each other. The theme makes sense to me. The card play actually does very well. I'm confused by where it ended up. It's much higher. But honestly, our son loves it. And it's a quick, fast, easy game to break out. It doesn't take much space. You just play it. So it's way higher than I thought. 65. Maybe I only like light games now.
I think some of it's just we've had a really good experience playing with our 13-year-old, and that's who we bought it with in mind. We don't mind any of the love letter games. We have a couple around here. The one we play most often is actually Letters to Santa at Christmas.
Yeah.
But they're good games. They're quick. They're easy to throw down. But that one definitely, I think, is probably the most strategic of any of them. Has the best theme, and I think it comes through the best. So I think it's definitely our favorite love letter, and I think just probably the recent good experiences with it are where it landed. Now my 65 is a deck builder, Paperback. And this is, if you're the type who've always enjoyed things like word games, this is the deck builder for you. If you know someone who really likes something like Scrabble and they've never played anything more than that, this is a good introduction to them. It's a really good basic deck builder, but it's all about building words. But unlike Scrabble, where often you're trying to come up with really kooky words because, you're trying to place it and get it, this one, you don't have to have the same vocabulary level to do well.
Yeah.
Now that's usually how I cream him at Scrabble. So he has a much better shot of this one. This one also has a pretty good app. We've played the app actually.
Yeah, the app does quite well.
Yes. And so, there's a lot of strategy into which letters you take, because each letter has a power that goes along with it. So there's a lot of cool pieces to this. And obviously, the longer the word, the more stuff you get to do. So.
Yeah, it's not my fault. I'm in aviation, and we only use acronyms.
Yeah, he would beat me if I would let him use acronyms.
You'll let me use acronyms?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, this one's kind of different because this is relatively new. I've got less plays with this than some of the other ones. But I really thought it was neat. It's got the D&D dice. Unearth, my number 64, has D&D dice. And you're using those dice to try and basically get to a certain number on a ruin to get points. And this gives you, gives you a color of it. And there's other ways to get victory points, including finding wonders. But you're also getting materials off of these ruins. And those materials, you can build a formation that will let you get a wonder for more points. And you can take dice back, but you're going to end up taking all of your dice back, which doesn't help you complete stuff. And you have to pick which dice to go where. What are you trying to do? And if you get a low enough number, you get the material. So sometimes you're going to grab that 4-sided dice, even though it may mean your opponent gets to score that wonder to get you your material. And I just thought the gameplay was pretty nice. It was pretty awesome.
Definitely a different one. He got this one at Christmas, and so it's fairly new to our collection and our plays. We don't have that many plays on it, but it's definitely different. And the different, the D4s, and I think there's a D8 and a D6
and D10, I think.
I think so. You have these different choices, and those are the very strategic choices on which one do I roll based on what I want. So.
No, 3D6, a D8, and a D4.
Okay. Now my 64, I can guarantee is on his list, and that's Catan. I like Catan. We've had a lot of good plays with our kids lately, and so we don't have all the expansions, but we have a number. We have Seafarers, and we have Cities and Knights.
Yep.
And I actually ranked all the specialty Catans on their own, so you'll see a lot of those coming up, as I do very much enjoy building up my little settlement and everything in Catan. So, this is a classic. I think most people probably at this point have probably played this one in some form. We actually have, as I said, we have a bunch of different versions of it. But I just enjoy basic Catan, and our kids really like it, so that really helps.
It's grown on me. I had some really bad plays early on, 5 or 6 hour games for no reason type deal, and I just kind of went, blah. But with the kids and you guys and Billy and Erica, we do pretty good. All right. This is apparently my in general light segment. And a lot of people are going, all of your games are light. I've shifted a lot to lighter games. I either play miniatures games or lighter games, but I still like the heavy ones every once in a while, and you'll see that later.
I think some of it's when we play games, we tend to play games at night.
Yeah,
and he's not a night person. And so I think that he gravitates towards these lighter games because that's at that point at night. Now, at the same point, I would never want to play the heavier games if you asked me first thing in the morning, where he'd be all for them. So, we're better if we can play in the middle of the afternoon. The problem is that 4-letter work word.
Yeah.
It's hard to play in the middle of the day. So therefore, we end up usually playing late at night. And I think that's the reason you've gravitated to a lot of these lighter games.
Night bad. But 1901, New York 1901 is another tile placement game. where you're trying to control certain areas to get points at the end of the game and build bigger, larger structures to get points throughout the game. It's really simple. You're using cards to get and place buildings, and then that's it. So you claim areas with the cards. When you got a building to put out, you put it out. It's pretty simple but very strategic. Like, the mechanics are simple, and I've explained them like mud. Again, it's night, but it flows so well and it's so quick. It's just a really fun, quick game. Don't have to play it, doesn't overstay its welcome. So that's my number 63, New York, 1901.
Blue Orange has a lot of really good games. They make a lot of light games, but they're games that you can teach them in 5-10 minutes, and that's really nice, especially at a game day when I can pull out a game and I can have you playing in a couple of minutes. Setup's quick, teaching's quick. Some of these other games, okay, we're going to sit down with someone who's never played it before. I've got 15-20 minutes of setup, and then I have to explain it to you probably for another 20 minutes. So it's 40 minutes before we're playing. Whereas you can have that down, and in 10-15 minutes, everyone's already playing and having fun. So that's a plus. My 63 was 79 on Ray's list, and that's Castles of Burgundy.
I love that one.
And I really enjoy this one. We went through the card game and the dice game, but we ended up just keeping the classic one. I like little tiles, and I like building my little settlement, and I just enjoy it. I think it's a good classic game. I enjoy seeing the finished product as I go through it. It's just a lot of fun. I don't think there's anything special about the theme, but it's just a really solid game.
It's a dude looking over a river.
Yeah.
What more do you need?
The traditional, Euro-looking cover.
What more do you need?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. We got a lot of them, and they always come in giant boxes. And I was able to put both Guildhall and Guildhall Job Fair in here. And Guildhall is my number, making sure I get it right, 62. And the cards are bland. And I'm trying to check. Yeah, it was your 79. We just kind of flip-flop. Cards are kind of bland, but the game is just fun. What you're doing is you're trying to create sets of one of every color. I think there's 5? There's 5 colors.
I think there's 6.
There might be 6.
I think 6.
So you get of a single type of person that's in a giant deck. You're shuffling, you're trying to get them. But every time you play one of those, its power is activated. And those powers are enhanced by the number of people you have out there. So if you got 4 assassins, I'm going to kill multiples of her when I put that down. But then all of your assassins go away into a pile that you can use to buy victory points.
Well, once you have the complete...
Once you got the complete set.
And now once you have a complete set, no one can do anything to them until you spend them. And you get cool things. When you buy the victory points, you get cool powers as well. You get stuff. So
or a one-shot deal.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I meant. Just didn't say it very well. Mud
tonight. But as a whole, this game was one of the ugliest ones that you could find as a cover. It has a guy holding a pig, and yet we got it cheaply on sale, and we've played the heck out of this one. It's fun, it's quick. You're creating sets, but as you build those sets up, you get powers to activate that let you look through the deck or find different cards or pick up other cards or kill your opponent's cards so that you can next time pick it up. It was great. So Guildhall and Guildhall Job Fair, my number 62.
But I think they made a fantasy version of it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And that one's basically the same powers, but with fantasy, and they broke out a few more. There's a couple of new ones in it, but not a lot.
Yeah, I prefer the generic medieval to the fantasy. So my 62 is the Great Dinosaur Rush, which this is one of our 10-year-olds' favorite games, because, you're...
I like it, too.
Yeah.
Better than you.
Yeah, just because, What's really cool about this, though, is you get to build your dinosaur. You're collecting all these different bones. They're just different color, little, rectangular sticks. But then you build behind your little screen. There's a building, you get to build your dinosaur. And you're trying to match the cards you have. Yep. And there's certain requirements, and then you get to kind of fill in. And then you get points for things like who has the longest dinosaur, who has the one with the biggest girth, which is ribs, which has the most specialty items. And so there's some really cool pieces to this, but just it's really cool to see all the finished dinosaurs. And you build like 3 different times during the game, and then between that you're going out and you're collecting dinosaur bones. And there's all different things. If you want to play an easier game, you play without the notoriety tokens. So like if you want a family game, but it's actually not that much to add them. It's just if you were starting out, if you're playing with fairly young kids, they're worth leaving out. But I think used the notoriety. Did we use it with Andrew?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
The notoriety just means you've got a couple of mean options. And when I say mean, this is not even at its worst a take that game. You can occasionally go, this amount of bones is gone, and then your opponent's not going to be able to get those, but you have to replace the bones. So there's a new set out there anyway. So yeah, you might screw up one of their colors, but
yeah, there's not really, you can't steal their bones, things like that.
You can.
Oh, you can? Okay.
But
we don't usually use them because then you get these negative points, and it's just usually we don't find it worth it. But certainly, if you're the type that enjoy that option is in there. So, but it's really fun. It's cool. It's cute looking. And it's just fun to build little dinosaurs. So
it is. The dinosaur skeletons. And at the end, the last one, not on her list. I'm going to hold this upside down for a minute. There we go. Targi. Targi is a worker placement-ish. It's worker placement. It definitely is worker placement. Very strategic. Set collection, worker placement, 2-player only game. And what you're trying to do is you can place your guys along the edge. And wherever you place them, so you get 3 workers. Wherever you place them, where they intersect, you get those. So you've got a grid of a bunch of cards. You can put your guys around the edge. And where those intercept, you get those actions or items. Plus, you get the actions on where you're at. So you end up getting a fair amount of resources, and then you can do something. Game doesn't overstay its welcome. It does very well. I like it more than you do.
Yeah, and I don't dislike it. I like it. I think it's very... the cards and the actions are very generic, but at the same time, the mechanism, the way you place them is really unique, and that's really cool. And it's, that 2-player Cosmo line. I think that it's a really good, if you're someone who plays a lot of 2-player game, and we do, it's well worth having in your collection.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, my 61 is compounded.
Too low.
Well, he has so many games way too low. What he did to Manhattan Project is just disgusting. So anyways, but compounded, this is you're building different chemical compounds, and you can have lab fires and things light on fire and it sends stuff flying. So does it teach a ton of chemistry? No, not really, but there's a little bit in there. And it's a really good game because you have this little board in front of you, and you're gonna go up, and as you go up this track and you get your things up, you get more powers and you can do more things. And so it's just a really fun game, and you're just picking different ones. You're trying to build these different compounds to score points, and you've got to watch because some of them are flammable, and that fire comes up and all of a sudden, oops. Now you can build a fire extinguisher and save one of them, which is pretty cool, but if you don't, the fire extinguisher is worth points at the end of the game anyways. But it can be kind of sometimes hard to get. You're looking for that one color and it's not coming up, that one element. But it's a really fun game.
You can trade though. It's actually, you can trade elements and the like with each other, and you do want to get those your abilities higher because it lets you actively get more resources out or do a bit more other options or
and the elements themselves are pretty cool. They're really pretty looking and they feel good. So
they're gems.
Yeah, but
gemstones.
And there's different ones. We've got some expansions in here, but really we like the base one, and our kids play the base one. So, and I've screwed up the box, and he's gonna complain because he always complains.
I'll just fix it later.
If it's not exactly flat, he has major issues. Major issues.
She's just weird. So that's 70 through 61.
Thanks for watching.